Booking the job isn't the finish line, and for a lot of actors, realizing that is what finally sets them free. Welcome to Get Messy, the mindset space for creatives who want to build sustainable and successful careers without losing their sanity. I'm Maddie, professional performer of over a decade, future therapist, and the friend who will never BS you about what it takes to stay in the game. Today, I'm sitting down with Taylor Misiak, known for FX's Dave and currently starring on Fox's Going Dutch. She's filming Tyra's season 3 right now. She's got 2 films and more on the way. By any measure, she is someone who has made it. And she's here to tell you exactly why that phrase is a myth. In this episode, we talk about her tradition of labeling champagne bottles to celebrate milestones as a mental health anchor, reframing auditions as the job of an actor, and what it's really like to be married to a fellow creative. We also get into trusting your gut, handling rejection without losing perspective, and why booking a hit TV show doesn't mean that the hustle stops. Taylor and I worked on a web series together almost 10 years ago, which is psychotic. I cannot believe that much time has passed. And it was really fun to walk down memory lane with her a little bit. And she is so funny. She's charming as hell. And she's so authentically honest. And this conversation is like a warm, giant hug for every actor who is grinding it out in the industry. Without further ado, please welcome the audacious yet so down to earth Taylor Misiak. We have so much to talk about today, Taylor. I'm so stoked. For people who don't know who you are, you've been acting since the age of 7. You've got a BFA in fine arts, and you've never stopped performing, really, since you were a kid. You're currently starring in Going Dutch on Fox and Dave on FX. You've had guest starring roles on Netflix's American Vandal, recurring roles on NBC's I Feel Bad. You have 2 movies being released in 2026, Redux, and Let's Have Kids. And you're working on a Netflix show that is yet to be announced. All of this amongst all the other work that you've done. If you had to title this current season of life that you are in, what would you title this chapter?
I do think I would chapter it work hard, play hard. I really am in a really nice, what could very well be the peak of my professional acting career, where a lot of my work has begotten work. And recently it has been work that I've really, really enjoyed with people I really like. So they've been hard, they've been challenging, but it's introduced me to a lot of new friendships and relationships I really like to foster. And then the schedule allows for when I'm not working to get to do kind of impulsive last minute trips and go see friends and like get to enjoy that freedom that the schedule offers me. It's work hard, play hard. It's a pretty binary thing, but I'm loving it because I love my job.
Well, and this is a good question then, because I was going to say, anyone who sees your Instagram knows, like, I think work hard, play hard is exactly what you title it. Like, you're working a lot and having a lot of fun while you're working, and then you're having a lot of fun in your life. Like you said, you're traveling, you're going out, you're going to sporting events, you're having a blast. And so if you get those times, those periods where you're not working, you have like a week to yourself to do whatever the fuck you want, how are you spending it? Or if you get to spontaneously choose, what are you doing?
I love a good sporting event. My husband and I are like pretty big sports heads. So if there is a freedom in our schedule where we can go, most recently, the biggest one was we went to the Super Bowl pretty last minute 2 years ago in New Orleans and had just the time of our lives. We joked that it was our honeymoon because it was quite expensive, but it was fun to be able to go like, we're both free. We think we can swing this. I am a big reality TV monster. When I have a stretch of free time, I am gobbling up reality TV like you wouldn't believe. I love going to the movies. I also have really started to, now that I'm in my 30s, really trying to prioritize like seeing my friends more to alleviate what I call some of this like catch up culture. I find that I could be really consumed by seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time or working with people. And then it's like, we got to get together. We got to catch up. And you're like constantly kind of having meals or coffees or these things. And it's like, let's catch up. And I'm finding that when I have free time, it's really nice to reach out to my friends and see if they can like go on a walk or a workout or something that's short that is a way for me to see them that doesn't have that sort of let's download each other's lives sort of catch up thing. It's sports, it's friends, it's food, it's reality TV. I do read. I don't just melt my brain. I do read, but I melt my brain a lot. Yeah.
It's so funny, Taylor, because I also love to read. Like, I read all the time, but man, do I love food. I love a good cocktail, and I love reality TV. And it's like, I never used to, because back in the day, I was like, this is stealing jobs from us actors. And then something shifted where I was like, no, this is beautiful, beautiful pieces of art. This is exactly what we need right now. What are your top like 3 reality shows?
Look, you're right about both because it is sort of a cancer to the film and TV industry in a very professional sense. But I find as an actor, two things are true about watching reality TV that there is a way to observe human behavior that is really helpful developing characters into acting and looking at how people react to things, their impulse control. And there is also the, for me, sensation of not being jealous when I'm watching it. I suffer from where was I that day, where I watched some really impressive scripted shows with someone who might have a similar type as me. And I go, where was I that day? Like, why didn't I get to audition for that? And that's a little tax that I have when watching some scripted shows, which I do. And there's so many good things on. But I feel that I get to learn a little bit about humans and how just wild we can be from an acting perspective. And I also get to turn off that part of my brain that is thinking about work and it's like pure entertainment. Currently, my favorite shows, I do think Summer House is quite rich. I love watching Summer
Delicious.
House.
So
Love it.
delicious. Yeah.
And I wasn't a big fan at first. And my friend Alyssa had convinced me to start it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I like these people. And now maybe it's also because we're at a similar age. And I think that's a really fun show. They had a really, really interesting and thoughtful conversation about race in last week's episode that I thought was really impactful. I'm a Real Housewives monster. I love Atlanta and Beverly Hills probably the most. I'm watching Beverly Hills right now. And then, oh, Survivor. I'm like a Survivor monster. Yeah, love Survivor.
Okay. I'm right there with you on all of those being like my faves, like very, very high up on my faves. And especially when I was planning my wedding, from planning your own wedding, it's so crazy. And that's like the only thing that got me through. So I'm like, my reality TV, it's like turn my brain off to be like, okay, like I need to just like, yeah, soak up these people. And again, I think it's such a great study of reactivity. Why are they responding that way? Like there's so many times I'm like, mindset wise, damn girl, I'm like, I want to give you a hug, but like, we need some accountability. I also appreciate you sharing that, Taylor, about that's such a real thing for everyone, I think, in the entertainment industry of like the where was I that day syndrome a little bit. Like when you said it, I was like, oh, I've never thought about it in those terms. But yeah, I feel like now since I mainly do voiceover, I don't have it as much anymore. But I do even for voiceover. I hear like a commercial and I'm like, damn, I didn't even get that audition. I was like, what the hell? Or whatever the case may be. So I appreciate you sharing that because there is those other little quirks that kind of get amplified when you're watching something scripted. Like you said, whether it be your brain can't turn it off because you're looking at character development or their acting choices, or you're not being able to just fully soak up the story. Where a book, I never think about that. I'm like fully just in the story with the book and creating it in my mind. And then also that other piece of it being that, oh, it's like an opportunity that I'm like so happy they got it and everything. But like, damn, there's like this missing piece there for sure.
Yeah, I love what your comparison to the book experience because I haven't thought about it that way, but it's so true. That kind of storytelling is also something that I love that doesn't sort of distract me in that way. And I imagine this might be the case for you, but there's some shows that just transcend that. And I'm always impressed with those shows. I'm so consumed when I'm watching The Pit that I really don't go, oh my God, I could have been this girl because I'm just so in it. And that is really impressive. I love watching scripted shows to find out if that's what's going to happen. But yeah, it is. I think it's something that actors do, actors and everybody who works in the industry might deal with when consuming our art.
No, for sure. And yeah, the pit's a great example. I just watched an episode, the first pilot of Paradise with Sterling K. Brown. And same thing. I was like, the first episode ended and I was like, oh, I didn't even really think about anything acting related watching the first episode of that show. So it's so fun when that happens where you're almost like caught off guard. Like that was actually really nice. There's like a vacation for my actor brain.
Yes, and isn't that also that's a really beautiful thing that like is a touchstone to what our whole dream is. Our whole dream is to provide escapism and do such a good job world building and storytelling that everybody transcends their personal fears and worries and where you are that day. And to know that we're still susceptible to that is so great. And then to go, that's the kind of stuff I want to make is really inspiring ultimately.
And I think too, the fact also that, we both have been in the industry for a long time, but right before we got on, we were trying to be like, we did a web series. I was helping produce it. You were the lead actress in it. And we were like, how long ago was that? And we're like, holy shit, that was 9.5 years ago. And
I was just saying I chatted with Corinne Evans, who is the director, and I think she like co-wrote the piece. Maybe Joe wrote the piece. I think she kind of helped Joe with some of the stories. Joe Chambrello was the lead actor on that project. And Corinne and I both have a couple memories from working on that project with you. And the one that Corinne has that she remembers you graciously let us use your apartment to film in. And on your fireplace mantle, you had all these like very colorful champagne bottles that you had like written and drawn on to each celebrate one of the career wins that you've had. And I remember Corinne like looked at them and saw them, and it was a moment for her to be like, wow, I love that like Taylor celebrates these moments, like whether it was like your first co-star or like whatever it was. And had this moment that she's like, wow, I really don't celebrate myself enough. Like I'm kind of always on to the next thing. And I think a lot of actors have that issue, or people in this industry, because there's always like that next bigger win that they're trying to like sink their teeth into. So they just keep rushing towards that bigger win and not taking those moments to celebrate. So why do you think it's always been important for you to celebrate your wins? And what would you tell someone who is having a difficult time celebrating their small wins to embrace more of?
I love this memory that Corinne had because even just hearing that warms my heart for several reasons. And I have to give credit to the very first champagne bottle that I received from my very first co star when I said any single syllable on TV was from my best friend Georgie. And we were just Baroque as little church mice and really couldn't afford anything. And she came over and had like the cheapest bottle of champagne she could get at Ralph's that she shouldn't have even bought in the first place, but was like, we're celebrating. This is a moment that's worth remembering. And that meant so much to me that I kept the bottle and then wrote the memory on it. And then it started that tradition for me. So it was rooted in support from friends and a friend telling me you have to celebrate this win. And I do think it's really important because this career is so full of rejection that is almost impossible to remove your ego from, that I would not be able to stay anything close to sane if I didn't give myself a pat on the back for achieving anything. And that means also I've worked really hard in the past 6 years, giving myself also credit for callbacks, producer tests, the opportunity to read scripts that not everybody can get their hands on, things that aren't necessarily booking, but are still milestones. And I would tell any other actor that that's important just for true mental health purposes, man. I mean, it's so easy to get down on yourself. And that's what we're in it for, right? Like I once heard an actor told me that she kept the sides for every audition that she did and she put them on a stack on her desk. And she would only get rid of the stack when she booked a job. And I was like, don't do that. Why would you have a physical manifestation of what is you are going to interpret as rejection? And I think that finding a balance between the hunger and the ambition and the pride and the sense of self and the protection that you should give yourself as an artist is important.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking about that poor girl. I like want to give her a hug who's keeping all of her sides. Cause I feel like we came from the school, or not we, but like the acting class I was in an important part of my life. He's like, throw that shit out. Second you leave, he's like, get it out of your car, get it out of your eye line. And then he's like, guess what? If you get a call back and have to reprint that shit, great. But he's like, throw it out. And so I literally was like, how can I rip it up and burn it as fast as I possibly can to kind of let it go, to be like, I did what I could. What was the only part in my control, because we know booking, there's so many factors that go into, and like you said, even getting a call back, even getting put on a veil and then booking the job, like there's so many things out of our control at that point to get to that. I'm like the physical reminder of all the stuff that's like, it's not even your rejection, really. It feels like that if you're looking at it.
That's why I say manifestation of like what is in a way rejection. Like I had a professor tell me that same piece of advice and I found it fantastic. Throw away the sides after the audition because your job is to audition. And that helped reframe my thinking a lot, where being an actor is auditioning. That's my main job. And I will sometimes get to act on set, but I always get to act in auditions. And that is what being an actor is. And you're always going to get no's to that next step, but giving yourself the validation and knowing that you're doing the work is auditioning, is such a big part of it. And so, yeah, celebrating, giving yourself the space to do that as a career, which is often something that needs to be funded by a different career, what a king or queen you must be in order to provide yourself enough security to get to do a whole nother job that you're doing because you love it and it feeds your soul. Like, that's a win. That's a champagne bottle.
I feel like those champagne bottles would be as cool as like an Oscar at this point. You know what I mean? Like for your collection, I'm like they're as worthy as like a damn Oscar at this
Yeah,
point.
it really is. It's nice to just be allowed to give yourself a treat. My gosh. Because you know what's part of this culture too? It reminds me of how every time I've wrapped a show, and I'm guilty of this, but every time I've wrapped a show, on the day I'm wrapping, everyone asks, what's next?
Oh, I knew you were gonna say the two words. I knew you were
Oh,
gonna
you're like,
say it. I knew
just
it.
I know it's supposed to be supportive. And of course, we want to know we all work together. That is so tough. And that invites, I think, some of that, what Corinne was saying about the mindset of like moving on, what's next.
And that's the thing. In our career path, we very rarely know. Like we truly have no clue 99% of the time. Every now and then you're probably like, I actually have this one thing in 2 months or whatever the case may be, but that's not always the case. So that's such a good point of when you said it, I'm like, she's gonna say what's next, because we've all been there where it's like, what's next? And you're like, if only I know. I'm like, I don't even know tomorrow. I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow, let alone
Exactly.
another thing that Corinne and I both remember, which I love this because her and I were both, God, dating like the worst men at that time. I'm so glad that resolved for both of us. We're both in really happy relationships now, which is great. We came, so I think day one, we're setting up lights, we're doing whatever, and you were like very newly dating a man, and he was on set on location somewhere else filming. And you're like, I think he might ask me to come and like to kind of come be there for like the duration of the film. And we were all like, oh my God, okay, like that's so exciting, whatever. And then we show up day two, and you're like, he asked me, and I'm leaving in a week. And do you know anyone who can sublease my apartment? And I loved it. I was like, this girl is so badass, because to me, and again, it was probably because of the horrible men I was dating at this time, I would have had so much analysis paralysis, like to overthink it and talk myself out of it versus being like, what's the worst that can happen? Like plane ticket bought. I will have this apartment paid for a month and a half. Like, let's go. And so would you say you're someone who typically just goes for it head first all in? Or do you have analysis paralysis? Like what goes on in your head with making some, I thought it was a bold decision, but I loved it.
Girl, of course it was. Yeah, I love, you can't even imagine the kind of memory lane you're really just making me walk down. But I will have to caveat that story by saying I was deeply, madly, truly in love. That boyfriend is now my husband, and I'm very happy that that worked out. But that was a sort of whirlwind that I cannot say is a thing that happens all the time, which is good. But when you put it that way, like, do I often jump into things? I will say yes. I don't think I suffer from analysis paralysis, which is a cute name that I'm now learning and really like often. And I find that when I do, it's usually because I know what I want to say and I fear what other people are going to think about what I want to do. I've had that once recently with a project that was from a really cool team, and my agents were excited about it. My husband was excited about it, and it was very exciting on paper. And so I was deciding if I was going to do it or not. And I was very much surrounded by people who were treating it like it was a no brainer yes. And I just felt in my gut, it was a part that I couldn't really serve. It was just a thing as an actor I was really resistant to, but I could do if I really forced myself to do it. And that was my last bad case of analysis paralysis. And I spent probably 72 hours really stressed. And it finally came down to me going, I'm actually not debating the decision. I know I don't want to do it. I know I don't want to do it. And it was really hard. It was hard to say no. I felt like I let a lot of people down, but then I felt such a relief, such a weight off my shoulders. I knew I did the right thing. And that's a little anecdote that helps me remember to trust my gut. And I do often know what I want to do. And it's a privilege, like, to be able to do that, but I do know what I want to do and what I don't often.
Yeah. And I think that's such a cool story too, Taylor, because I think, again, if you naturally have the inclination to be like, yeah, let's go for it, like, F yes, let's do it, which is great. And I feel like that's your gut signaling to you, like, this feels really good. Like, again, you were madly in love. He's now your husband. Like, that was a great, like, fuck yes, let's go. But to know that your gut is giving you signals, and that I feel like that's so natural that in a situation like that, you do need a couple days to think and kind of work through all of the stuff that is coming up for you and the opinions that you're hearing from people you really care about, like your team, your husband. And so it would make sense why you're like, even though I know my voice is being clouded by the other voices that I'm hearing and I don't want to disappoint.
And it's not a bad thing. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by people who are invested enough to tell me what they think and to root for me and to be invested in my future personally and professionally. And so I'm glad that I'm put in a pressure cooker sometimes because, one day that will result in me challenging myself to do something maybe I wouldn't have otherwise. There is a real gift in that, but it is important to stay connected to I just don't want to do it. And if I don't want to do something, especially in comedy, you feel that. You feel an actor. I could go through all the motions. I could do exactly what's written on the page. But if 2% of me in my body is like resistant to it or uncomfortable or doesn't believe in myself or thinks I'm not the right fit, every person in the audience is going to feel it. I'm not doing that project a favor. Like that's how I ultimately arrived at that decision. But if I was ever in a situation like that and my trusted people around me were like, I think that you have this in you and you don't realize it. And I thought about it and I was like, no, I could get there. That would be really cool.
When I feel like now you could discern between the two, like actually because of
Yeah.
this experience, you're like, I actually would be able to discern now if maybe I'm a little afraid or maybe I'm questioning myself and I have the people to support me versus you're like, thank God I said no to that because I know I'd be on set right now kicking myself like this was not aligned.
Yes. And it's hard. You hit the nail on the head with especially as actors, we just have a natural instinct to be like, of course I'll be a tree in your student film for free.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like, you don't want to say no to an opportunity for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like so counterintuitive to our whole being, but you just got to do it sometimes. It's wild.
As you said, I'm like thinking back to the Rolodex of like what would be considered a tree moment. And I feel like, especially the beginning of someone's acting career. And then there's that point where you're like, oh, okay, I need to discern what is best for me, best for my career, worth my time, all of those things. Your husband's also a creative in the industry. I could see that being so amazing in some regards and also really, really challenging. What parts are amazing that you guys are both creatives and what are the challenging parts of being married to a creative?
The good parts come to mind first, which is that most importantly, we get to work together. And that's so fun and such a absolute blast. And we love doing that together. We have very similar sensibilities when it comes to comedy and storytelling and tone. And we love working together. We bring out the best in each other. And that's not something that a lot of people get to do, especially when your work is so personal. And we also have a perspective that helps us be a good partner and a good listener when the other one has some stress to deal with in this arena. We understand the system and how filmmaking and TV works so that when he deals with something on set and is having a problem, or I am, we could go to the other person and you don't waste a lot of time being like, okay, so this is like what an AD does. And what this AD did, we can just we have a shorthand and we have an understanding of just like the world, which is really nice. The negative parts are, in order to work with my husband, I have to audition for him, which I don't recommend. Like auditioning is so brutal and it's a challenge that we face a couple times a year. And I also like telling people that because first of all, the assumption is that I don't audition. I think the average person might look at us working together and think, well, Tony put his wife in this show or this commercial or this product. I had the same thing when we were working together on Dave, and it was like kind of the opposite for some people because I worked on Dave first and then he worked on Dave, and it was like, well, who got who the job? And I'm like, we got our own jobs, but we met working together. We're going to keep working together. But that can be really hard, and I'm proud of us because we get better at it every time. It's becoming a little bit easier the more I legitimize my career and become more than Tony's partner in an audition room. And I'm really proud of him because as much as it's me putting my heart on the line, he has to have some really tough conversations with coworkers and colleagues he really respects and loves. And we're very lucky that we're not the first to do it. There's a lot of really amazing actor director relationships that are very successful and all that. But I will speak honestly in that's definitely the hardest part.
I'm like actually kind of getting full body chills as you're talking about that, trying to picture Jake and I, my husband, and that because yeah, it's just because auditioning is so vulnerable because you spend time and creative energy creating like your version of what you think this is. And then you're showcasing that for obviously, like you even said, you leave the room and then they all have to like talk about it and decide and like criticize, maybe not even a negative criticism, but like decipher and debate about that performance, and I'm like, "Oh," and then obviously he sees you at home, so he's gonna be like, "Great job, you're moving forward," or like, "Great job, but"
Yeah. And we've done both. And we've done both. What I will say, like I said, he handles it with such grace and deals with the stress. And I'm under the impression he makes his colleagues feel really comfortable, to speak truthfully. I mean, I've certainly never been gifted a part out of awkwardness. I wish I was. I wish some people were like scared of Tony and I could just like get into half of his shows immediately. But it's a very fair, honest process. So it doesn't work that way. But I've had the pleasure of booking roles that I've auditioned for with him. I have been rejected from plenty. I have been then sort of moved to auditioning for something smaller, which is a gift in and of itself, but a whole nother conversation. But he does a really good job of figuring out how to communicate with that team and with me. And we also found that for a while we experimented with this idea of like, well, he's not going to help me with my sides. I'll just come in like every other actor. And then after doing that once, I was like, no, I'm never doing that again. First of all, nobody thinks I'm doing that. Every time I'm going to walk into a room, nobody's going to go like, did Taylor do this all on her own? You didn't help her read her sides even once before this. Nobody thinks I'm doing that. And so why pretend? And also, why would they care if they found that out? It just, all that matters is if you're the right girl for the part or not. They don't care about your process. So when I do audition for him, I do go, I don't care if it's 10 o'clock at night, you're running these sides with me. And we're going to talk about what they're looking for. And that's a benefit. That's a benefit for sure. But I don't always get it.
that's so fun. I didn't even think about that, Taylor, but it's like, yeah, I would be like, Jake, you're sitting here and like, we're doing this like right now. Of course. Why not? That's so funny. I did not even think about that at all. And you're like, you're right. It's so irrelevant. Like, what does it matter? No one's going to be like, okay, Taylor. Yeah. Like, what, you're not going to be able to act unless Tony's there.
Now we'll cast you. Like that doesn't make sense. But these are all like sort of trial and error that we've found. And just from it again happening like every year all the time, we found kind of our rhythm and it is getting better, but it's still, I would say the biggest challenge is that. And other than that, it's just really fun. We really see each other in a way that, as you know, living with like an artist and somebody who works in the industry can really see you in a way that's important.
Again, there's like that other, yeah, like alignment and connection that you will have. Again, being heard and being seen in such an intimate way because they get it. And I'm so curious because as we know, even though, like you just said so beautifully, like you've seen a lot of success to where in certain rooms, people might be like, well, okay, she can stand on her own as like Taylor, the actor. You've got like the credits and everything to back it up. But like you still audition and get told no. Like you still have peaks and valleys and busy seasons and slow seasons, even if people don't perceive it like that. That is still your experience as an actor. And I'm sure Tony is still as a director and what he's doing. Like it's not always gangbusters all the time. How do you, Taylor, like deal with just the ebbs and flows and uncertainties of what this industry is? When you said it when we got on, you're like, I'm doing XYZ right now. I'm like, this could be for a while. Like you don't even know. So like, how do you deal with that mentally, mindset wise? What's that process? Because it's not easy. I feel like no matter what level you get to, there's always a little bit of that exists.
Totally. I think that's a really good question. And I don't have a great answer other than I'm still working on it. I think it's how everybody should probably be approaching their mental health, right? It's just like really paying attention and trying their best to find peace and self-confidence. And I will say what has been very helpful for me is, I've already referenced it, but a really great support system. I have a very supportive husband. I have really supportive friends who listen, who will give me the space to be heartbroken about an amazing opportunity that didn't happen, who will let me express anxiety about being unemployed for 6 months, a year, however long that is. And I say let because I'm friends with a lot of actors and artists. And sometimes people don't really have the space for that because they want even the chance to have that heartbreak, which is really understandable. I've had that too. I've really had that. So finding the support system that really is there for your lows and celebrates your highs is really important, which I have a good one. And I have also been able to find a new perspective on not working for a certain period of time while I'm auditioning, facing that rejection, let's say, through the opportunity of getting to be a witness to my friends' careers and then also be a witness to a lot of the stuff that my husband does work on when he's casting. And I have learned, and I've seen the tapes, that there are so many talented people. Oh my God. Everyone is so good. It's often going to the person who is so right for it from a large pool of people who are also right for it. And that's given me a lot of perspective and helped me deal with the anxiety and the lows of not booking for long periods of time. And it helps. And I feel like every role that I've booked recently, I've been the most right for it. And I feel that, and I will feel like I'm really clicking with this. I feel really good. And do I feel that often and I don't get the part? Of course. But the ones I have booked recently are the ones where I just go and I feel really proud of it because I go, I know I was against so many actors who are so brilliant. It's not that I was the best at acting. It's that I was the right fit for this show for reasons I might not even completely understand. It's such a puzzle piece. Every show is a puzzle piece. So I would say, long story short, a really good support system and the perspective to know that you are not bad. You are one of the many good actors. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm thinking about that even. I did a voiceover campaign that I was on for 2.5 years. I mean, the longest I think I'd been on, it was really great. And it was so fun because, especially now in voiceover, where you're truly in like your own little box, not connecting with other people, to be able to get to know people and be like, Mike, how was your daughter's dance recital? Like the engineer, like to actually have that kind of like as close to, back in the day when you'd be going into a studio, like that face-to-face connection of being with people. But I thought about that all the time, Taylor, because obviously you're still auditioning while you're on shows or I'm on a campaign. Like that's still part of the process, but you really notice it, or at least I do, more when you're not on a show or you're not on that campaign where I'm like, oh, now I'm like really noticing all of the auditions I'm doing and how I'm feeling in that process. And I think about it all the time where I was like, wow, if voiceover acting anything, I see so many people and I know so many people who are so good within my agency alone that are going up against this same thing for this commercial or whatever. And I remember when I booked that campaign, you get put on a veil, whatever. And I was like, that literally, Corinne and I have actually been up for a job before. We were both on a veil for it, which was so cool. And her audition and my audition could not have been more different. It was wild to hear it. And her and I were like, wow, this is so cool that clearly who's ever on this creative team, we have like a similar tone to our voice, but like what we brought to the audition could not have been more different. She ended up booking it and I was so happy for her, but it was like that quick, like she heard a yes and I heard a no. Or like on the one campaign I did, I'm like, I heard a yes and someone else heard a no. Like it's that split second decision at the end of the day that changes the trajectory. And so it's just fascinating where I think you're right. It's like, I always think about that too, where I'm like, there's just so many good people.
So good. Like you said, to know you guys are both so talented, you're up for the same thing. And that's validating. That's very validating. And then it's not them rejecting you. It's them being like, you know what, Corinne is even more of a great fit for whatever reason this may be. And I find that it really lifts a weight off my shoulders to think of it that way. And I shouldn't even say think of it that way. It's like, now know that that's how it is. It's like, that's really how it is.
That's such a good point, Taylor, because I'm like thinking back to, I remember when I heard that audition and I was like, how cool that I get to hear the audition of the other person who's on a veil for this job and we actually know. And then hearing it, I was like, oh my God, her read was like very sleek, very sexy, very cool. And it was for Ford Mustang Mach-E, which is like their electric Mustang. And mine was much more like conversational. Hey, like this cool new thing. So like we had such our own tones and vibes and opinions about like what that spot should be. You're right to even notice that. I'm like, all the executives or all the clients sitting there, we could not have been more different. And they were deciding between the two of us as like the way in which they want this spot to go. So it was a great reminder to be like, even when you do get an evaluate, I'm like, I wonder if the other person is like a totally different interpretation that taught me a lot. That one specific spot.
That reminds me too of something that helps me when I'm doing auditions is releasing what I think they want and offering my best version of the material. And that has helped me immensely. I think a lot of actors experience this will find that it can be, let me fit into what you think. And obviously you want to understand the circumstances of like the role within the show and like what this character plays in like the world of, like, I'm not talking about that kind of information, but like really striving to become something that you think they're looking for is a waste of time. And providing your specific flair is exactly what's demonstrated by that story, because it's not like the top five people are so homogenous. I think it ends up being the people who are feel the most authentic and specific in their own way. I've also had the experience of, on more than one occasion, I've gone in and read for a role that is the partner of a character, and I've been pinned for that role, and it's been based on who is going to get cast as that partner. So I've lost roles because whoever gets cast as what was the bigger part ends up not being a compatible actor for like my version of the character that I brought. And while that's a bummer at the time, it also does make me have an appreciation again for that like puzzle piece. And how can I take that personally? I did my job. They saw me in a version of the show. And then once all these other things came together, it wasn't right for me. But that was a good lesson. And I'm doing my job and I can't take it personally. That was not a failure.
And like your teacher said, I love that where it's like auditioning is your job. Like, what a helpful piece, Taylor, to have throughout your whole career to be like, okay, if that's my job and that's the only thing I can control is how I show up for this one thing. And I always say when exactly what you said, when people talk about I'm trying to match what I think they want, it's like painting by numbers. Like you might have an okay painting, but if you kind of just said fuck it and took all the numbers off and did it yourself, it would be yours. And it would probably be even cooler than what this paint by numbers thing was. And so I love that.
For me, it makes my auditions more fun. I love getting sides now and being like, okay, so this character is like kind of written like a bitch. And I'll play her like a bitch, but I'm going to base her off of like this girl I knew. Or like making it your own ends up, I think, being a nice creative outlet that's also good for mental health and also good for like your inner artist. And it removes you from the like trying for the sake of trying and forcing it.
Totally. And I know in working at the level that you've worked at, I feel like there's always still like at every job or everything we face, it's like there's still sometimes I read this whole thing about kind of the farce of competence, so to speak, because like you could be competent, but it's always new. Like any set you go on, there's like something new about it, or like there's always going to be a challenge that you can't predict or like totally plan for. So like even though you're gaining more competence, like then you're usually always being challenged to grow more because you're kind of going to those next levels that you don't have any experience in. So in thinking about all of your experience, like where does self-doubt still show up in your process for you or in like the business side of things?
Wow, you're really blowing my mind with that because it's so right. It's so true. Parts of competence.
I know I was thinking about myself in voiceover and I like read this quote and I was like, damn. And I've been thinking about it kind of nonstop since I read it.
I too will now be reading more about it. Your question kind of reminds me of something I've learned now that I've like had the wonderful privilege of getting to be on a couple of different sets. And I did think after I first did a couple co-stars that I knew how sets work. And then you move on to a new show and you go, oh, that's only true to a very limited extent. And every show is a different beast. So now whenever I do get the opportunity to go on a new set, I am very open to what's the culture on this set? What are the expectations for myself and just actors in general on this set? What's the vibe, as a millennial would say? What's the vibe on this set? And I experience the most self-doubt right now in navigating the administrative and professional part of my career. I have a tough time reaching out to my agents and managers. I should be doing better at that. That was a New Year's resolution of mine, to be more communicative instead of feeling that something had to be worthy of communication. And asking to be invited into certain rooms is something that I still have doubt with, because I think, well, I should have earned that. And this should be part of what's coming as a result of like my work on set. And I am learning that I do have to approach that aspect of my career, which is something that they didn't teach me in acting school in college.
No, unfortunately not, but it's very beneficial and helpful and needed.
And it's even more important. I probably did a better job at that when I was less experienced and I was doing my first couple of like more professional jobs, because I just knew I have to have an agent, I have to have a manager in order to get on set. And I was really hungry for that. And I was really on top of it. And now that I've graduated into a different level of representation and auditioning for different things, I find I'm a little bit more self-conscious and unsure of what to do, and still learning that world for sure.
I appreciate you sharing that because I think there's going to be so many people listening who are shocked because they feel like that. Like, I think that's a lot of people are like, I don't want to feel like I'm bugging them. And it's like, wait, we're a team. Like, this is a relationship. And yes, there's boundaries around maybe what's professional or appropriate. But my one friend, Olivia, and I, we keep saying to each other the word audacious. We keep seeing these things. And I'm like, damn, that person has a lot of audacity, but I'm like, good for them. Like they're moving the needle, they're getting shit done. So it made me think of, because her and I are trying whenever there's a moment to be like, okay, audacity, like what would the audacious version of this look like? That's not rude. That's not being unprofessional. You're not demanding something, but like it's the person who's going to make the ask. And that's a risk because there's like, there could be more rejection or it's vulnerable to open yourself up for a response that, again, like I feel like that with my agents, and I've been with them for 10 years at this point. And every now and then I'm like, Maddie, why would you think they're going to respond badly? When have they ever responded badly to you?
Yes, it's such a imposter syndrome that I think really a lot of people deal with, but I do find that I'm often relating to women in my life who deal with that and not wanting to take up too much space and not wanting to be in the way, not wanting to bother people. I have always been met with a positive reception when I talk to my team. And, I've learned that if I think that it's worthy of mentioning to them, then I should. There's so much in this business where I'm on set now and someone mentioned a show and said, that would be good. It'd be fun to have you audition. Obviously, I should email my team and say, this show came up. It's not auditioning yet, but they mentioned my name. So let's be on top of it. And then on my drive home, I'll go, well, it's so far out and they don't want to like hear about it until it's probably auditioning. I should probably just be on top of it and text that guy again. And I talk myself out of it. And that's where I'm trying to now fight that imposter syndrome and be more of a squeaky wheel, which I think you and I are both saying is not to be squeaky at all. Like it's really not to squeak. It's just to be there.
But it's like trying again to like reframe that mindset. I feel like that's the thing too, Taylor. We've been taught from like, there's so many old age things. Like we said, the golden ages of like 2014, 2018 or whatever that we were in LA in. I feel like there was a couple specific things that we were taught that like one aren't true and aren't helpful. And that was kind of one of them. It was like, you do everything you can to get the rep. That's like super, super important. And then like be as easy as possible. Be that easy person on their roster where they're like, Taylor shows up, she does her shit. She's like doing great with auditions. She doesn't bother me. And I'm like, that's not a business or a business relationship.
Yeah.
So it's like unlearning that.
It's so true. And I now know, I'm like I said, I'm working on now being at like a huge agency. They're a huge agency because they care about the details, because they want their clients to work, because they do pay attention when you say, hey, a coworker mentioned a pilot and they think I would be good for it. Then they get on top of it. That's how they become the big agents. They don't become the big agents because they're like scary. And like, that's not how it works. But you're right that attitude of like just being easy and just being reliable, which is true. You still need to be reliable, but being easy is going out of the way to mention networking opportunities, to mention something you read in the trades, to say, would you check out these headshots or whatever? Like that is actually, in fact, being easy. And like you said, nobody's ever been mad at me for emailing them.
No, you're giving it up to them on a silver platter. I don't know about you, but I feel like most of like, especially the agents I have now, they're very no BS. Like if there was a problem, they would tell me. They'd be like, hey, let's talk about this, because like it's festering in the relationship we have together. And like, that's not helpful for you. It's not helpful for us. So Taylor, I could talk to you all day. I want to be very respectful of your time because there's like so many questions I have that I want to ask. And this is like the time has flown and it's been so lovely. I'm going to ask like one more question and then do some rapid fire. Again, the entertainment industry, I think, is fascinating for a lot of people. They have a lot of like romantic ideas of like what it is. And some of those are true. And then some are so far from the truth. What is an opinion you have about the entertainment industry that most people in it probably wouldn't say out loud?
Well, a little bit of what we're talking about now, which is, and it's true for me as an actor, it's been true for Tony and a lot of other people I know who just work in various jobs in the industry. The idea that once you reach a certain level, which in my experience has been being on a show as a series regular, that then the expectation is you are sort of always working from then on, and that you are so busy and you're booked and and this is true for when I talk to people, friends of mine in my life who don't work in the industry and friends of mine who do, they'll just expect, since I booked Dave fucking 7 years ago, that you must be so busy now. You graduated, like you made it. Basically, I'm saying you made it is not real. And that's something that I fell victim to too. I was like, oh my God, I made it. Now that I did this show and it was so successful, now I'm going to be swimming in offers and I'm graduating into this next level of my career. And I just went back to auditioning. I went years without booking something when I was doing and after Dave. Years until I told people that didn't believe it or they didn't think it. That was something that people I think maybe romanticize. And I have to go, no, I'm unemployed. I'm back on my audition and bullshit. You don't just make it. You don't just make it. I'm not at all undercutting. I did graduate to a new level of my career. I have better team, better opportunities, but I'm still auditioning.
It's kind of like the same thing, just at a different level. The act of all of it is the same. It's just like certain things are amplified. You get maybe some, other opportunities or things, but it's like the same. The process is all the same.
Opportunities are auditions. So it's so true. You're like, oh, it is so sick. And I'm so grateful. And I love that, like, this is the fruit of my labor. But I think that people will romanticize how much I'm working, like actual days out of the year that I'm like on a set. People always think is more than it is in conversation, I've noticed. And then this idea that things are easier, which in many ways, again, circumstantially there are, but you understand what I'm saying.
1000%. And I think the reason it's even hard to quantify exactly what it is because there is this, even like you said, people in the industry come to you and they think it's one way. And you're like, no, like it's not that at all, actually. Like that's not the reality of it. So that's why it's hard to quantify. Like I get it. Cause I think in a very small way, even with voiceover, I felt that where people have this perception. And then I'm like, some of it's true and some of it's like, so I'm like sweating in my closet and then back to audition. You know what I mean? Like I totally get it. Rapid fire questions. The podcast is called Get Messy because kind of I feel like what you even just said is like we're always in the messy middle. Like there's no arriving. There is no like you have made it. Like we're always in the middle and the middle is always messy because like there's always something we can't expect, prepare for personally or professionally. You can answer it however you want. What's the messiest thing about you?
It's such a funny because when I take that word literally, I do have like a bit of like tidiness OCD. So I could just like hear my husband laughing at that question when he listens to this later. But I think that this is such a broad answer. Forgive me. But I do think the messiest thing about me is this friggin' career because I am a very type A and I love schedules and I love planning and I can't do any of that with this career. And it's taken a long time for me to adjust to the lifestyle of getting a wedding invitation in the mail and being like, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I will be shooting going Dutch in Ireland. I don't know if I'm going to be unemployed for so long that I can't afford a plane ticket to this wedding. I don't know if Tony is going to book something that will make us travel or if I have to stay with our dog in our life because he's traveling. Like that's the messiest and it's great. I love our life. I love the work hard, play hard, but it is very schedule wise and predictability wise and stability wise messy.
Preach. I'm like, I am so type A by nature. My husband isn't. So I think that helps a little bit. Cause I'm like, well, my career and my husband are both like very adventurous, right? Like I feel like this career is very adventurous. We got on that campaign I was on where they're like, hey, so no, you weren't like supposed to be booked today. What are you doing in like 2 hours? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I sure. I think in COVID too, especially with voiceover, everyone thought you were just like, we all were sitting at home, like waiting. And it's like, oh, of course.
You're living in your closet with your sound equipment. Like
I literally said, Taylor, they think that that's what we're still doing though now because we're working from home, that it's like the pace of the industry is so fast and so urgent and so unpredictable. So like everything you described, I was like, that is such a part of it. And you have to accept it because like trying to fight the beast, fight the machine. No.
And luckily, like my life, and I'm sure your guys's has, I imagine your guys's has changed around us where people are a little bit more understanding of like, we don't know if we could commit to this family reunion in 6 months. We buy a lot of last minute plane tickets. We plan things really last minute. And I've learned the joy in that. And I've been really grateful that my friends and family have understood it. And it's a symptom of this career that I love that you use the word adventurous. It is adventurous because every phone call you get invites a whole new adventure. So that's great, but it is messy.
Oh, so messy, unbelievably messy. What do you feel like you're still trying to figure out? And again, it could be personally or professionally.
I am working on getting better at, I get this nervous feeling. I had a director the other day go, what's your process like? Like, how did you prepare the sides for today? And my mind went white because instead of thinking about what I actually do, I went, what does he want to hear? Is what I actually do like enough to impress him? Or is he going to be offended that I didn't do enough to prepare his sides? And I really want to work on answering that question and questions about my approach and scripts confidently and directly and releasing the what do they want to hear? Because it does feel so private, but he's not asking in a judgmental way. That's something I'm working on, answering that question directly and honestly.
Yeah. I love that so much, Taylor, too, because I think that we've talked about like the process of booking jobs and how it starts with this like crazy big pool. And then like there's an element of luck at the end of the day that it all connects and aligns that it's you. And so I feel like there's that part, like same thing with voiceover. Like there have been times where you'll get asked like questions about more of like the process. And I'm almost like, well, they think I'm a fraud because part of it is like, oh, well, it's kind of like I have a toolbox and I pull this thing out and I don't sometimes know what I'm going to pull out. Sometimes I try to pull out one tool and that's the wrong tool. And then I like, how do I explain this to someone? And then I'm like, but wait, I've been doing this so long. Is that weird? Like, is that so I know what you mean? Almost this like, am I a fraud because I don't have like step one is this? Step two is that, I have this whole thing that's like the Maddie process of voiceover. So I get that so
Yeah.
deeply. Yeah. He's probably just trying to be like creative and is curious about it and wants to like collaborate with you. And it's like, maybe he wants to like help facilitate your process. Who even knows? It's probably positive.
A fair question that I was like, because I had notes on my script and he was like, well, what are these notes? And I'm like, they're all over the place. And some of them are not like as smart as you might think. Like your answer, which is the truth, is a great place to start, I think, which is to go, oh, I have a toolbox. It's different per script, per project. This is something that I like to do on this side. Like on this, I did a lot of as if, or on this, I did just a lot of sort of paraphrasing and putting into my own words or whatever. But that's an imposter syndrome. I'm a fraud.
I'm a fraud. They're going to find out one of these days.
Yeah.
Taylor, what do you want more in this next season of your life?
Ooh, I want to do more creative things with my friends. I've had the opportunity to do that so far in my career and it's always been beautiful. And I really want to be an agent of change in making some of that stuff happen because especially as an actor, I've been fortunate enough to be like cast in some of my friends' projects or to at least be witness to the things that they're making. And I, this year, I'm working on bringing ideas to them, trying to collaborate with them in a more serious way. So I am generating some of that work in a way that I haven't done before as an actor. So that's something I really want to do. And I really want to keep journaling. I've been journaling. I dropped that earlier and it's really good for me, I'm finding. So I want to be doing more of that. Those are two big things that come to mind for this upcoming year. Oh, and I want to be doing more like selfless shit. I worked last year and the past couple of years with like some really cool nonprofits, but like very little. And God, was it the most rewarding thing ever? And every time I do it, I'm like, I should be doing this once a week. And then I just go and like get my nails done and I'm like a selfish monster. So I'm trying to also like reach out to those places more and do things that are helping me get out of myself in a selfless way that's great. And it's really easy to do right now in LA because LA has a lot of really good nonprofits. Shout out to, I don't know if you've heard of this one, but it's Everyday Action. And it's an LA based nonprofit that helps get excess food and clothing from sets and gets them where they need to go donation wise in LA. And my friend Dan Pearl introduced me to that. They're doing an auction that I'm working on. And so that's something recently I was like, this is it. Okay, got to be doing more of this. So more stuff to make me better and more stuff to be trying to be a good person.
Selfless, everyday action. I'm going to remember that. I have like so many friends who I know would be so down to like help. Because I think we're always sometimes looking for ways too, that's not just donating money, but like being there and being a part of it. So I think that's so cool. What are you most excited about right now, personally and professionally?
I'm really excited for the show that I'm working on now, which also I'm just going to say, because whatever. I'm working on season 3 of Tires on Netflix.
I heard on the other podcast, so I'm like, maybe she's allowed to talk about it now. But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, I just kind of said it on that, but I got permission from McKeever and whatever. So it'll be fine.
Philly loves you. You love Philly. Like it looks good on you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Philly and I, man, we are meant to be. And I love that I've been accepted in every way with really warm, open eagle's arms to this community. And Tires is a show I really love. It's the first show that I've worked on that I watched before and like was a fan of. And so that's a really cool feeling to go onto the Tires set and go, oh my God, like I'm in Valley Forge Auto. So I'm really excited about this show. I'm loving working on it. I'm excited to see it come out. It's a very high visibility show. So I'm really looking forward to like seeing how that might impact some cool opportunities I might get. And personally, my best friend is getting married this year. The same best friend who got me my champagne bottle is getting married this year at the end of the year. And that's a really beautiful thing to witness and be a part of. And my husband is working on a show that is really feeding him creatively in a way that really excites me and like kind of electrifies the energy in our house in a way that makes me really excited. So those are some big items.
And shout out to that friend Georgie, because she actually was on set with you because she was visiting LA. So she came to one of the sets, but she had this like beautiful, I don't know if it was like a poetry reading or something shortly after. And it was so great. I messaged her. It was amazing. And I was like, oh my God, this girl is so talented. So like, yes, you have very
So
cool friends.
yeah, she's so inspiring and talented and supportive. She's just the world. I'm really excited about this year for her, and getting to celebrate that with her is really cool.
Celebrate the friends who celebrate you. Taylor, this has been so fun hanging out with you. Where can people come hang out online with you?
I am just on social media in terms of that. I'm on Instagram. And so it's Taylor Misiak, TaylorMisiak. And that's where I tend to post some fun stuff. That's the main place to find the Taylor Misiak news and hang out with me online, I would say.
Awesome. Taylor, this has been so fun. Thank you so
Maddie,
much.
you're a treat.
It's right back at you.
Through and through.
You're the real hero if you've made it this far. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and check out the show notes for any resources or cool info mentioned in today's episode, or places to follow along if you want to hang out some more. I'm rooting for you today and always. Stay messy.